Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of ROX Network. I'm Roxy, and I'm looking today at Armoured Saint's celebratory live album, Symbol of Salvation. Can you believe it's actually been 30 years since the original album was released? 30 years since Armoured Saint's Symbol of Salvation. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? They are effectively back together, although it's difficult to tell sometimes with Armoured Saint whether they're back together or not, but they are playing live again, and they played these gigs to celebrate Symbol of Salvation by playing the album in its entirety. And we have to say, the kind of live treatment that they put on this kicks ass. I mean, the original album was great, but hearing it live really works for them. I interviewed Joey Vera, the bassist of Armoured Saint, and that interview follows this. But by all means, check out the album. And don't forget, of course, check out the original studio version. The live album is available on CD, DVD combo, and vinyl. On with the interview. Hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of ROX TV. Another fantastic interview lined up for you. None other than Joey Vera, the bassist and one of the founder members of metal legends Armoured Saint. Their new album is a live album, a live recording of their classic album Symbol of Salvation, redone for your listening pleasure. It's out now, exactly today even, out on CD, vinyl with some bonus tracks, and we understand a CD digipack, which also includes the live DVD. Catch it when you can. Here's our interview with Joey.
No worries.
Yes, we know. Today is the day, isn't it? Today's the day of Symbol of Salvation is released. So I'm pleased we've actually done it today rather than last week, because it's your release date. How excited are you?
That's great. It was been a long time coming. We recorded this in 2018, so a few years ago. So it's good to get this out finally. Celebrating the 30-year anniversary this year of Symbol of Salvation. So we're super excited and stoked.
Well, we've heard it, and it is very, very good.
Great.
Yeah, you must be really pleased with how it's all mixed and been mastered, because there's a great sound on it.
Great. Good. Thank you. We're happy with the way it turned out. I think it's a good representation of the band in our live state. And, it's good all around.
Is the DVDs with the CD, isn't it, if you have like the gatefold pack, as we call them over here? Or are you going to sell that one separate?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I am not really sure. That's a good question.
Right.
I think that you can buy the audio separate from the DVD. I believe that there's several formats that's available on vinyl, which the vinyl comes with some bonus tracks on side 4. So it's a double album. So side 4 has some bonus tracks, and those are demos that we had recorded with our guitar player, Dave Pritchard, who's no longer with us. But while we were writing for Symbol of Salvation during the years of 1989 and 1990, 89 and 91, we had those are demos that we had done with Dave. So those appear on side 4. And, I think you can buy the CD only, I guess, also. But I believe the DVD and the CD come together. So that's
That's
I think
kind of
that's
the
one.
impression I've been given. Yes.
Yeah. So I think those are one package, as far as I know. I don't know that you can buy the DVD all by itself or the audio CD all by itself. I'm not sure about that. That's a good question.
It's
Oh,
it's quite
as
it's
soon as we
quite
finish here, I'll go Google it online and see what I find out.
well, we'll put it on the video anyway. How what formats it's available in,
Right
so
on.
we'll
Cool.
make sure that's accurate.
Great.
As you say, I mean, you've been going a fair few years now. I mean, I remember early Armored Saint, and back then you were just as hard, just as heavy, and just as loud live, and you haven't lost any of that ferocity at all, have you?
Well, maybe some. We're quite a bit older now. But we still try to bring it when we play live. We try to maintain that youthful something that we can conjure up when we play live. We've always been a good live band, or at least we've attempted to be. And I think that that's still one of our credos, is to just really put out when we play live. So it's not an easy thing to do anymore. It was probably easier back then when we were younger, but it's it's harder now. So you have to be prepared and stay in shape and all that kind of stuff. So
Doesn't show on the album.
great.
So, I mean, there's been 11. I mean, I can't believe this, but there's been 11 albums that you guys, and one EP, but 11 albums that you guys have put out over your career. Is there one pet album, the one that you go back to and you say, yeah, that one was the one?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're all so different, and that's one of the things that I objectively really like about our band, is that we've never really made the same album twice. So that's kind of hard to do, asking me if there's one that stands out or special. I mean, certainly our conversation is based around Symbol of Salvation, and there was a reason for choosing that record. And this is probably viewed by people in the band and fans alike and critics alike. The record is sort of viewed as a kind of a pinnacle moment in our career. So for various reasons. So that this record, Symbol of Salvation, is certainly a record that we often look to as kind of like, this was the moment, when the planets kind of were relatively aligned.
It's certainly one of your more well-known albums.
Yeah, and the irony about it all is that it was actually a difficult time in our lives. It was it was a hard record to make. It was a hard process getting there to that point. A lot of things led up to making that record that were kind of hard to get through. So it's a bittersweet thing for us. And in a lot of ways, I think this record musically helped us to carve a path. We didn't know this at the time, by the way, but it carved this path that we were going to be taking in the future from that day forward. And it led us to where we are today, to where our latest record, Punching the Sky, has landed. And so for all those reasons, Symbol, there's more reasons than that maybe, but those are some reasons why Symbol, in a way, has this kind of apex moment for us, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it is as you say, it's classic Armoured Saint. It's the one. If someone was to ask me what are Armoured Saint like, Symbol would be the one I'd put on. That one and Delirious Nomad, which is a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah,
I think that one's got a good sound to it as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Sure.
You had a period of time when you guys weren't really together, though, weren't you? I mean, it wasn't until 2017 that you reformed officially?
Well, that's not really. No, the trajectory kind of goes more like this, right after Symbol of Salvation. It's funny, this again, this kind of this apex moment, and then the band broke up, in '92. John, as many people know, left to join Anthrax, and for all intents and purposes, that was forever. It wasn't like it wasn't like, hey, let's take a hiatus and John's going to go join Anthrax. It was like, okay, this is it. It's over. But, as things sort of turned out, we ended up kind of getting back together as a side project around 1999, 2000, when we had some downtime between our other projects. I also play in Fates Warning, and I had some downtime with Fates Warning. John had downtime with Anthrax because Charlie and Scott were doing the SOD thing around that time. So we got together and Armored Saint made a record called Revelation. And, since then we've just kind of been like, we get together and we make music and we tour kind of like when we feel like it, or when we have time to do it, or have honest time to dedicate to doing it. So really since about 2000 is kind of when we slowly started, if you want to call it, getting back together. And I still kind of look at it, the band, that way to this day. It kind of takes this pressure off a little bit of having to be involved in the machine, if you will, of this music industry, and let ourselves getting churned into schedules and expectations and meeting quotas and all that kind of thing. We're very fortunate to be involved with a record label, Metalblade Records, that allows us to work in this way. And we don't take that for granted. We're very grateful for that. So we kind of still look at ourselves that way. Like we are a serious band, and we dedicate everything that we do. We take it all very seriously. But at the same time, this isn't like, it's such a heavy thing, like a make or break situation. We want to maintain that so that we can still find some kind of joy in doing this.
You sort of, was it weird for you and John when you played together again as part of Anthrax? Was that a bit weird at start, and then you thought, this is all right?
I wouldn't say it was weird. It was certainly, for me, it was exciting and fun. It was great for several levels. On one level, I was like, I found myself on stage with Anthrax, and these guys were friends of mine, but also I saw them as Anthrax. They were a band coming up the same time we were, and peers of mine, and I looked up to them. I was a fan of their music, and suddenly now I'm on stage with them. That was amazing. The bonus on that was I look to my right or left, and there's the lead singer. His happens to be John Bush. It was in my first band, Armored Saint, and happens to be like one of my best friends in the whole wide world. He's the singer in the band too. So it was like, this is amazing. So I wouldn't classify it as weird. There's certainly a lot of irony and weird coincidences going on there, but I viewed it as super exciting. It was amazing for me. I got to travel to a lot of places that I'd never been before during that year with Anthrax, and Japan and Australia, South America. I mean, some amazing places that I'd only dreamed about going to. So it was really, really cool. That whole year was great.
That's good. It's good that you experienced it in a positive way, which is, some don't, do they? The sour grapes kind of come into these things, and you stole our singer, that sort of thing, and it just wasn't like that at all, really, was it?
No, not at all. I mean, the fact is, from my point of view, was that once I gave John my blessing when he left, and we had talked about this situation as it was unfolding in 1992.
Mm.
So John and I had an understanding from day one. So there was never any kind of ill feelings or anything like that. The only thing that was, if you want to talk about anything that was a little weird, maybe was the first time seeing him on stage with another band, with Anthrax. I forget where I saw them. It must have been in LA. I saw them several times with John, but it must have been in LA. And that was maybe like there was a little tug of, jealousy, maybe the very first time, of course.
It's bound
but,
to.
It's normal. But I was a big fan of Sound of White Noise, the first record he made with them. And from then on, it was just, I continued being a fan. So it was all good.
Fantastic. That's really good to know. You've done a live album before. I mean, obviously, this is a celebration of one particular album. Was it because the live album? I'm going to pronounce this as best as I can, because I'm shit at these things. But Carpe Noctem, Carpe Noctem.
Yep.
I didn't do Latin at school, as you can probably tell. Now that one obviously covered songs from various parts of the Armoured Saint career. How did you approach it differently, I guess is what I'm trying to ask, as opposed to cherry picking songs from a live set to performing an entire album? And did you approach it differently?
Well, they're just different things. The live Carpe Noctem is a lot like Saints Will Conquer, if you will, which was a live EP we put out in '89.
Mm.
And it's just, kind of a shortened, condensed best of version of our live stuff. And so Carpe Noctem is basically not that dissimilar from Saints Will Conquer. And deciding to do Symbol of Salvation was more provoking for us to do that. We had some time in 2018. It was kind of the end of our cycle for Wind Hands Down, and we had an opportunity to go do some more touring dates. And we, rather than go out and just do, another best of tour of all our favorite songs or fan favorite songs, we wanted to do something a little different, a little more challenging, a little more interesting for us. And so we knew in 2018, we knew that this anniversary was going to be coming up, this 30-year anniversary in a couple of years. So we just sort of tossed around this idea with the label and said, what if we go out and do this record in its entirety, and maybe we could document it and do something with it? And so they agreed, thought it was a good idea. And so the band took it on, and we had a lot of fun with it. It was interesting and fun and exciting and different for us and challenging, because we had to learn all that material, which we hadn't done in 30 years. A lot of stuff we hadn't played ever before. And so we had to figure out all the guitar parts and the bass parts and the harmonies and all that stuff. And so that was pretty challenging, and it was fun to do. We did a run of dates in the US and a run of dates in Europe. And so that's how we looked at Symbol differently than, say, Carpe Noctem, for sure.
Yeah. And it must have been brilliant for you to sort of go back to that album. And was you listening to the original masters and trying to recapture that feeling that you had at the time?
Yeah, sure. There was a lot of conjured up a lot of memories of in the studio and the things that led up to making the record. And again, figuring out guitar parts that we hadn't played and learned or hadn't done since 1991. So it's quite a long time ago to try to remember how something goes. And, you can't always tell all those little details listening to a record. So, but, we did the best we could, and we tried to keep them as close as possible to the originals. And, it was fun. It was really cool. And the cool thing too was playing some of these songs for the very first time. Songs like Burning Question, for example, was a song we'd never played live ever in front of an audience. It was just a song we wrote and demoed it, and then we made it on, put it on the record. And for some reason, we just never, wasn't the song that we pulled to play live. But seeing people on this tour in 18, you know, singing all the words and the chorus is like super loud, and it made an appreciation really great for these songs that we hadn't played, and kind of made us think like, why did we wait so long for? Why didn't we play this? Why haven't we been playing this song live? It's a great live song. Things like that. So that was a lot of cool surprises that we didn't really expect. And I think the fans just loved it. You know, it's cool seeing them. You know, they know the sequence of the record. The diehard fans know the sequence. So like, you know, one song would end and then they'd be shouting out the next song, and it was great. It was a really cool.
It's been part of
experience.
Metalhead's lives for 30 years. You know, it's your fans know every single word. They know every single guitar solo.
Yeah.
So they're just anticipating the next bit. It must be
Yeah.
brilliant for you to have heard that,
great.
as you say.
It was really cool.
Talking of live dates, you've got some live dates coming up, haven't you? Just in the States at the moment?
Yes, just in the States.
Will you be doing what songs are you going to be playing this time around? Are you tempted to pull some of those tracks back and try and play them out again, or is it just you're going to change it completely around and just go for something totally different?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we probably will stick to a lot of the standards, and we also are looking to play several songs from our last record, Punch in the Sky, because, you know, that record came out during the first COVID year, and you know, it almost seems like it didn't really come out, but so we're anxious to really play a lot of those songs live. We love the record and we love all the material on it. It's going to be hard to choose what songs to play from that record. But yeah, you never know. Maybe we'll pull out Burning Question or something like that.
Great stuff.
You never know.
Yeah. And when can we expect the next studio album?
Oh God.
Are there any songs sort of going around in that head of yours?
No, we always kind of work. We've been in the last, I don't know, 3 records anyway, which covers about 15 years or so. We seem to work in a way where we write music for a record, make the record, and then we go out and we tour for that record. And then after that point, we don't really do much writing. We don't write on the road. I seldom write when I'm off tour, like for no apparent reason. I might jot down riffs and things like that, but I don't really write per se songs. We don't really get that deep into it until we kind of agree that like a cycle is finished, and then we start to think about, okay, let's start thinking about working on music for the next record. It's a very long and slow process, and at that point we begin kind of getting ideas and putting them into songs. So we're still in this, feel like we haven't begun the cycle yet for Punch in the Sky. So we're still anticipating.
COVID kind of put a stop to a lot of things, and it is frustrating for guys like yourselves that have put an album out and it's like you're still waiting for that response.
Yeah. And again, our minds are still, we're still in the Punch in the Sky mode. And so we want to go out and tour, and we have some things coming up even next year. So next year is our 40-year anniversary, actually, for the band as a band. So we recently got the rights for reissuing the first 3 Chrysalis records on vinyl and CD. But so Metalblade's putting those 3 records out in the early part of 22, which has helped kind of celebrate our 40-year anniversary. And we also have dates that we have planned for the fall. And can't announce them yet, but they're going to be announced soon. They hope, we're working on something in Europe, but we have something going on in the United States. So we plan on, again, getting into the cycle, punching the sky. We need to go out and do some dates and tour and do as much as we can, as many times as we can stand it, and after that cycle comes to a close, then maybe we'll start talking about where we want to go from there. And that's where the new music may begin, let's say.
Fair enough. We look forward to it, as we always do. We always look forward to an Armoured Saint album.
Yeah, we kind of need to have real honest motivation to do it. We don't really tend to I know everybody's different, every band's different, and every musician's different. And some guys I know, friends of mine, they're always writing, like for no particular reason. They're just always writing, and I've never really been like that myself. I like to really have a real, true, I don't know, motivation, and it's got to come from an honest place. And then once that happens, I get obsessed, and like my wife hates it, but my head gets in the clouds, and then you don't see me for like 18 months. I get super obsessive once I'm in the writing mode. So it comes in waves, for me.
Well, we can't wait for your next wave.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to like what do you call it? Recuperate from
absolutely
COVID fog before I can get into that.
Well, it's been fantastic talking to you, Joey. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we wish you all the best with Symbol of Salvation live and your coming tour.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joey. Bye bye.
Right. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.